Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. It's time for the weekly Mod Collection Demo Shop update. If you went to the shop today, this is all you'd find: Baton Brute and a leftover from last week. But let me show you what you missed. Starting with some interesting SGs, we had not one, but two of these things show up. And I'll be honest, I was 3 minutes late this week, so I might have missed the third one because these things are numbered on the backside of the headstock, but you don't always see all of them show up on the same week. They call this one Gold Moonlight Mist. It appears to be like a black and gold blend. This looks really cool, especially since they also mix the hardware, having gold saddles, golden post with the black chrome bridge and tailpiece. And you just kind of naturally get that mix right here with the whole pickup ring situation. But interesting choice of using a clear pick guard on this one. That was nice. But then imagine my surprise when we flip it over to the back. We have a reverse burst on the neck, so you get the black burst right here, when normally it's the black that shapes a different color on a neck. It's an interesting phenomenon because you don't see it too often. Each of these were listed at $2,500. Next up, we have a 335 in what they call red skulls for, wow, $5,200. So my biggest question on this one is, did it start life with the skull finish or not? Because these things actually did exist. You can check out this rock or not for more information. But if you zoom in here, adjust the contrast, you can really start to see the skulls popping out. It was just an interesting finish. It even appears to be on the neck. And the serial number makes this one from 2011. And it is a custom shop creation. So while it's not numbered like the original run, it was definitely made around the same time. So there's got to be an interesting story behind that one. Even though they're saying the modifications consists of a custom finish. Now we've got a Les Paul in sparkling burgundy finish. This darn thing got me. I was starting to fall in love with it. Sparkling burgundy looks great on a Les Paul standard. But then I scrolled down to these other photos and went, ah man, not again. One of those Les Paul Moderns tricked me. I love the way Moderns look when you modify them just a little bit, because then they're a little bit more traditional. You go from this to this. Very traditional. Love the witch hat knobs. I like the aged hardware that they've got going on, with the back having a nice ambered hue. And one nice thing about the Modern series is they get the true mother of pearl inlays on here with the ebony fretboard. So that was a nice one at $2,700. Now we get to talk about the Brute. So I actually had a viewer of the show reach out to me via email saying they're an architecture teacher, and this finish literally translates in French to raw concrete. So somebody at the Gibson Mod Collection enjoys architecture. This is one of the first ones that caught my eye because it's like, all right, it's a Les Paul Jr. They just put some sort of a trapeze tailpiece on it. Now it has an ABR1 bridge instead of the wrap tail. It's interesting, but we see modified guitars like that all the time in here. I did not realize though the price tag of $4,000. Okay, so it's a custom shop one. I thought this was just a USA. I mean, at least they did a full-on refinish, but I can't say I'm surprised that this one has sat in the shop for more than a day or two. The next offering made me smile. It's a Lefty Original Collection Les Paul Special. It looks like maybe they put gold hardware on it and gave it this new bright red finish. But I love what they called it, Rockin' Rhubarb. And that was cool enough for me on Wednesday, but doing my deep dive to create this video, oh my goodness. I love it. A green stinger, it matches the whole rhubarb vibes. In case you haven't seen rhubarb, there's a green portion and then there's a red portion. I could have gave them some extra bonus points if they had like a slightly wider white area, like right here for like the transitioning point. And oh my goodness, they did it. They actually did it. I didn't see that before. Okay. So they've got like a lighter area right here that kind of transitions. Okay, yeah. I love that thing. Congratulations whoever got it. I can't play because I'm not a lefty, but that was fun. I've always wanted to do fruit and vegetable themed signature guitars. Next up, we have Les Paul Classic and VOS, ebony finish. So basically, they took a USA, they gave it the custom shop VOS treatment. I'm not a big fan of it, but I do like the aged hardware that we've got on here. It appears they just have some sort of a technique in order to do that, because they now have that on a TP6 tailpiece. I like the fact that the pickups do not have any pole pieces exposed, and we have small BFG style wooden knobs. The back isn't anything too much to look at, but that is a very nice Les Paul Classic. This 50s Les Paul Standard's got some freaky stuff going on. So we've got the Bigsby installed, a B7 style, all gold hardware to match that gold finish. It looks like our P90s are still P90s, but really zoom in there, it looks like the pickup covers might be jagged. No, that's just the reflection of the strings, but you guys see what I saw? I saw like teeth or something right there. No, that appears to be like just a ring around it. So instead of a full-on cover, it's just kind of like a mini humbucker ring. That's interesting. Now we've got Sepia Burst. This almost looks like that aged guitar that nobody bought last week or something. And then they just gave it a new finish. But man, that is beautiful. It appears to be a one-piece veneer top. It's got a lot of wood grain, a lot of flame. It has the right amount of wornness in like this ear area right here. And everything has just been yellowed over. You can see it on the headstock here too. Then we flip on over to the back, they did the same thing. That is just a nice example. That's another one I say, congratulations, whoever got that one. Now Gibson was making sure you were paying attention on this one. $4,100, they've been throwing all these customs and ebony finishes at us. In the mod collection or demo shop, I can't tell you how many times we've seen that they just changed the pickup rings, and this time it's purple. We've seen it before. I was like, okay, not even gonna talk about this one. But then, the headstock. That is sweet. So we've seen and talked about the widowed type finishes of way too many times already. Normally, Gibson covers over the binding in the same color, but this time it appears they might have masked it off and only did this center portion of the headstock in that purple finish. So now there's a reason to have these purple pickup rings. That is cool. I like that effect. Slithering up next, we have Desert Snake. Now before we zoom in on this guitar, I thought Desert Snake was just kind of a cool finish name, and it was just like desert camo. That looks pretty nice. But then, when you zoom in, no, they actually did the snake skin type treatment to it, and we have Dirty Fingers pickups on this. So that is definitely an interesting Les Paul from the Studio family, and yes, it is a full-on refinish. You've got it on the back of the body, you've got it on the neck, the back of the headstock, and all for not that much of a premium. The following example, they had fun with the electronics. They called it Amber Gold Satin for $1,900. So what's really cool about this is if you think that's 3 mini humbuckers, you're technically wrong. That's 2 mini humbuckers, neck and bridge, and a Firebird middle position. Because the Firebirds are made completely differently, and they don't have the exposed pole pieces. So that way you don't have to decide, do you want 2 neck pickups or 2 bridge pickups? And then don't forget they yellowed over all the lacquer. That's why this logo is a different color than normal. And it looks like, and it was a full-on refinish. The Smokehouse Burst was offered at a discount. $1,400, just looks like they kind of played around with stuff. What did they do? I didn't notice it. Okay, so we got a knob up here, and we're going to have to read into this one a little bit more. Just when I was ready to write this off as being nothing special, they do something weird. All right, so we got a Burstbucker 1 in the neck. That's probably the modification. 498T in the bridge. Okay, that's probably stock. So master volume on the bass side shoulder. Then we got independent volumes and a master tone. All right, so we've just gotten rid of a tone, moved a master volume up there. So that way, if you want your neck pickup set at something and your bridge pickup set at something and then never mess with it again, that's why you want the master volume. Is that the output jack? Did this not get routed for a side output? What on earth? You know, I could see that becoming collectible in the future for the fact that it didn't get routed on the side. What a freak of a guitar. Next up, we have an SG Junior. It just looks like they added one of those Bigsby's on it. But now they've got me second guessing myself. What is that? Is that an LED light strip around there? Yes, indeed. Modifications consist of an onboard 20 dB boost circuit with boost volume and tone controls. So that looks like on an effects pedal, you know how they have those on-off switches? It looks like something like that. Gibson's done those dB boosts before on just like a switch system. Like check out the Futura series for that. That means there has to be a battery in there somewhere, doesn't it? But oh my goodness. Do you see what I see? It's the second time we've seen this. I got caught slacking this week. I wish I would have saw that. So ones that they're extra proud of, they do this. The Gibson Original Modified, a play on the old prototype stamps that they used to use in the late 70s, early 80s. So who knows? Maybe we'll start to see effects pedals built in guitars. See, this is why you tune into my show, because I go through everything, all the photos, all the zoom ins. It takes a lot of clicks, but I make sure we don't miss anything cool. And the last one from this week's collection is Swamp Top. I'm one of those freaks that like green guitars, but not necessarily this shade of green. I think the most interesting thing about this one has to be the pickups. So they're just regular pickups, right? But they have the double exposed pole piece covers on them, which generally we've only seen them use on like Dirty Fingers pickups before because those have 2 rows of adjustable pole pieces. But this one, you've got the slug coils and the adjustable coils exposed. It's an interesting vibe. I would have liked to have seen what this looked like had they had greened over the back of this as well. They went as far as putting tortoiseshell covers on the back here. I do like those. And of course, we can't not comment on the green knobs. And this one's left over from last week, just in case you missed it. It's an EDS 1275 with the flame top. Pretty darn cool. But they did it in satin, so I think that's why it sat for so long. All right, time to go over to the demo shop. We'll start USA style this time. If we're being honest here, nothing really too out of the ordinary, just your regular stuff this week. And a lot of it has sold. There's only like 10 guitars here that are left from this week yet. Out of the currently available offerings, this is the only one that really caught my attention. $2,600, not that bad of a deal for a custom shop junior. There's just not a huge market for these. But why I specifically wanted to point this one out to you guys is I love the wood grain on the back of this one. Kind of reminds me of like a king or something. I kind of see a crown and then maybe like a vague face that doesn't have any eyes. And this is like a handlebar mustache or something. It's pretty common to find wood grain stuff like that in SGs. But this one probably ended up here because kind of got a wonky looking Gibson logo. But most of the cool stuff sold pretty quickly this week. Here's my top picks. We have Trans Amber Gradient Top. Just kind of looks like Dark Wine Burst from the mid-90s, or kind of like one of these slash Les Paul Vermilions. But I think that looks good on a standard. They could bring that back, and I bet they could sell them. And now, just like last week, we have another tribute this update with a ridiculously flamed neck. I actually had a viewer of the show send this to me, and he was like, hey, if you're looking for one of these tributes, this would be a nice one. Gotta go fast. So I went to check it out, and I was like, yeah, that has a pretty nicely flamed maple neck. It's not supposed to, it's just luck of the draw with the wood grain. Sometimes that does happen. But I honestly don't really want to review this particular model, at least not right now, because I always like the exotic colors, the rare guitars. But at the same time, I also have to remember people watch my reviews because they want to see these guitars up close in person before they buy it, and somebody might be interested in this. The reason why I'm kind of regretting not buying this now is I didn't realize the fretboard had this interesting like tie-dye-ness going on. So it's a lot of red streaks in it. You can just see that infects the whole fretboard in this area. That makes it unique. Sometimes you gotta be careful conditioning those boards though, because you might lose that characteristic once it's been treated. So now that I noticed that, for $900, yeah, I probably should have bought it. That's my own fault though. Thank you for sending me that link. They had another one of the Flying V Customs this week, but this one was different from the rest. We've generally been seeing like brand new Flying V Customs for the most part, but this was one from, I believe, the original series, all the way back in 2017. I think there's some that predate that, but the older ones are more collectible. At least in my opinion, they should be, because that's the first time that they started to do these Flying V Customs. But you also have to remember these older ones will have rich light fretboards instead of the newer ones having true ebony. But I like the diamond output jack plate. It just looks good. This 50 standard, I mean, it's not too much to talk about, but I wanted to commend whoever took the photos of this particular one. You guys remember last week we were talking about the candid shots from the European demo shop where they break stock photography mode and they try to show you the guitar like you would see it in person at your house on a stand? Right here, we got one from USA. It's a small one, just to show you that, but it's a step in the right direction. I like it. We got another one of these Trad Pro 5s. Just wanted to show it to you because, hey, they swapped their pickups around. We got some purple pickup rings, and we've got the inclusion of piece knobs. I'm really curious, how many piece knobs do they have floating around? I mean, those things are from 2014, for crying out loud. Those things used to sell for quite a premium on the used market because the only way you could get one was from a Les Paul piece. I wonder if they have any of the other piece hardware, if it's just the knobs. Someone purchased this 59 reissue 355. I just thought it looked particularly attractive. I mean, it's not the most crazy wood grain in the world, but the colors blend so well together. The tortoiseshell pickguard, the ebony fretboard, custom block inlays, split diamond head veneer. This is a classy beast. And then lastly, whoever whipped this thing up, give yourself a pat on the back. This is one of those 70s Les Paul Deluxe models, you know, the brand new ones. You can check out this review and demo if you need to learn more. They took the mini humbuckers out and they put P90s in. And that just, oh my goodness, this screams the 70s. It reminds me of a model called the Pro Deluxe. Those things had ebony fretboards and stock P90 pickups. So just in case you don't know, P90's mini humbuckers, they use the same style route, so you can swap those without further modifications. But I really like the obnoxiously broad border of the red. That's what makes it look 70s. So it's a little bit of a clown burst, but I think the gold hardware kind of helps with that. So before we say goodbye, let's head on over to the Netherlands to see what they did this week. There was like maybe 5 or 6 new guitars that I saw. I mean, they still have a whole bunch of existing inventory if you happen to be in any of these countries that they ship to now. But we had a Gibson Songwriter here, just a nice natural acoustic guitar, nothing too much to talk about. A Les Paul Studio in ebony, a 335 figured. Not the nicest looking one of those we've ever seen. a 60th anniversary 61 SG reissue, a 60s iced tea standard with a pretty nice flame top. And then my favorite one was this, the R4 1954 reissue in double gold. This is another one of those looking at it not in stock photography made me appreciate it way more. This looks nice, right? Wrap tail gold top with P90s, what's not to love? But then bam, you get into this photo style and that whole double gold finish just really comes to life. I think I really want to get a setup kind of like this. A nice light colored wood, and then you get your traditional kind of photo-esque backdrop right there. I think it looks better than pure white. Even though if you have the pure white, yeah, it's easier to do like website shenanigans and just show it everywhere. I don't really know too much about the photography aspect. I'm sure there's ways you could probably cut this out, but the wood grain on this one's just really nice. Alright troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed this week's recap, but this is just one episode this week. I upload every day around 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time of guitar-related content. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more, and we will catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care.